Right, so we're going to go through another example where we are finding a confidence interval. Again, we're going to go through the same process, start with what we know, figure out what we want to know, and then we're going to go through our four-step process from there. Check our conditions, find our standard error, find the margin of error, and find and interpret the interval. And then we're also going to be asked to answer one other question in conclusion after we're done in this case. So a Huffington Post YouGov poll of 1,000 Americans found that at least 38% believe that there is intelligent life on other planets. Construct a 95% confidence interval for the percentage of Americans who believe there is intelligent life on other planets. Would it be plausible, so would it be plausible, possible, likely, right, all synonyms of that word, to conclude that 40% of Americans believe there is intelligent life on other planets? All right, so our capital N is our population, so that is all Americans. All right, our lowercase n is our sample. Our sample was 1,000 Americans sampled. All right, p hat is our sample proportion, which was 38%, so 0.38. Our confidence level is 95%. And basically what we want to know, we're going to find our confidence interval, and then we want to know, does 40% fall within our confidence interval? Again, our confidence interval being p hat plus or minus m. All right, so step one, check our conditions. We've done this a bunch of times in section 7.3 as well as now at least once in section 7.4. So we're just going to skip our conditions for this problem. Same thing is going to be true in your homework. Sometimes you're going to be asked to do it. Sometimes you're going to be told to assume that they're met. So just kind of pay attention to the differences and the way the question is based. All right, step two, find our standard error estimate. So we're going to plug in our p hat and our n. Our p hat is at 38%. Our n is our sample size of 1,000. So 0.38 times 1 minus 0.38 divided by n. Our sample size is 1,000. We plug that into a calculator. We're going to get 0.015. All right, so there is our standard error. Now that we have our standard of error, we're going to find our margin of error. Right, so we're going to take z star times SE. Again, our z star comes from our confidence level. Our confidence level is 95%. If we flip back to that table, right, from page 24, we see that for 95%, our z star is 1.96. So we're going to take 1.96 times 0.015. We get 0.029. Then we're going to use this to find and interpret our interval. So p hat 0.38 plus or minus our 0.029. We subtract first. Then we're going to take 0.38 plus our margin of error. Do the calculations. We get 0.351 to 0.409. All right, our interpretation. Again, I'm going to write off to the side. We are 95% confident. All right, so we start with our confidence level. What are we talking about? That the proportion of Americans right, and what about these Americans who believe there is life on other planets? is between 35.1% and 40.9%. So there is our interpretation of our confidence level. Now, if we go back to the original question, remember that there was one question that we were left to answer based on what we found in our confidence interval. So our conclusion says, would it be plausible to conclude that 40% of Americans believe there is intelligent life on other planets? And what we want to do is we want to take this 40% and decide, is that inside our confidence interval? And in this case, yes, it is. So we will say, since 40% falls within this interval, yes, it would be plausible to conclude that 40% of Americans believe this claim. So as you start going through your homework, don't be surprised if it asks you to find a confidence interval. Don't be surprised if the question asks you to interpret a confidence interval, and then don't be surprised if the question asks you to come up with some other conclusion based on what you just found in our confidence interval, as we did in this particular example.